right. So thank you all for joining. Wanted to just start this off by making some introductions. So Joanna is joining us from San Jose. She is the representation of immigration for Costa Rica and Latin America. And she also works with Gap Investments, and she's there with her associates sitting with her. My friend Sandra, she is a Canadian from Calgary, who's been living between Samara and Nosara for the last 10 years. And she has lots of knowledge of the local lifestyle and culture, having made the move from Calgary to beautiful Costa Rica. And Anna Maria will be joining us at some point, and she is an IATA certified travel consultant. So she'll be sharing some information on the requirements for Canadians to travel back and forth to Costa Rica as well. I myself, Zark Fatah, I think most of you on here know me. For those who don't, I'm a serial entrepreneur who made a decision 2 years ago to leave Costa Rica, to leave Canada and then move to Costa Rica. And unfortunately, our windows here are blocking my little caption there. But essentially, what I'm sharing is that in November 2018, I made a decision to that changed my life. I decided no more winter for me. I decided to make a big change in my career, and I left a career in nightlife and entertainment of over 25 years to start something new, begin all over again. And Costa Rica is where I chose to do that. And over the last 2 years, I've really learned to love and enjoy living a beautiful, simple life. And my intention with sharing this information with all of you is that you can learn that it's possible as well, and that it's not actually that hard if you are ready to make the move. The information we are all going to share with you over the next couple of hours, I wish somebody had prepared for me, because really it breaks it down in a very pragmatic, easy way to follow. And it's a lot of information. I am recording this session, and I will be sharing this session on my website. So if there's anything you've missed, or if you join this later, you got to get off early, you can access the recording on my website. So Joanna and your associates and Sandra, thank you for joining me here on this webinar. And to all of you who are watching as well, I appreciate you all being here. And before you, yeah, well, my pleasure. Thank you. Okay, so Pura Vida, the pure life. For any of you who are familiar with Costa Rica, you've heard this term. If you've been on vacation there, I'm sure you've seen it everywhere. And when I moved out, I actually didn't really know what the full meaning of Pura Vida meant. I knew it meant pure life. However, in Costa Rica, they have their own definition for it. And Pura Vida means pure life in Spanish, but it's also a Costa Rican philosophy that encourages the appreciation of life's simple treasures, slowing things down, celebrating good fortune, and refusing to take anything for granted. Really embodies a laid-back lifestyle. Things in Costa Rica move at a different pace, and it's part of the beauty of being there. They call it Tico time. Pura Vida means living life to the fullest, and it's more than just a saying. It really is a lifestyle. And Costa Ricans, they use this term to say hello, say goodbye, everything's great. You'll hear, hey, how are you, Pura Vida? Where are you going, Pura Vida? It's very common. So it really represents the lifestyle and the vibe there. I want to just share all that with you to get an understanding of what Pura Vida actually means. So I wanted to share some relevant facts about Costa Rica. It's a population of approximately 5 million people. It's 51,000 square kilometers, so it's not a very big country. You could actually drive top to bottom, north to south in about 10 to 12 hours, and east to west in about 6 to 7 hours, depending how fast you drive and what you're driving. There are 2 seasons, really. There's the dry season in summer, which is December to April. And like in some parts of the country, like where I am in Nosara, between December to April, you will get very little rain. It gets quite dry and can actually feel much hotter than what it actually is due to the heat, dryness. And then the winter is made in November, and during that time you can get quite a bit of rain. And right now in most of Costa Rica is heavy rain season, where roads can literally get flooded out, and temperatures can really drop in some of the higher altitudes like Monteverde or Chiripo area. And the temperatures range between 22 to 28 degrees, but during the dry season, it can feel as hot as 34, 36 degrees. And as I mentioned, it can drop quite low as well during the cooler months up in the mountains. Costa Rica has 4% of the world's biodiversity, which is incredible for such a small country. It has so much, so it has over 500,000 different types of plants, birds, and animals. I'll share a bit more about that. Yeah, in regards to the temperature dropping, the higher you go, it drops about 5.5 degrees for every 3,000 feet you go up. So there are actually some points where it can get to freezing at night, like up in the mountains, like Chiripo. It can actually get that cold that things will freeze. And let's see. So I'm just going to, I'm going to just move this 1 second here. Okay. So as I mentioned, it's got 4% of the world's biodiversity, and Costa Rica is considered to possess the highest density of biodiversity of any country in the world wide, given how small it is. Costa Rica contains 4% of species estimated to exist on the planet, and Costa Rica's biodiversity is attributed to the dramatic shifts in terrain. And this country, like really from top to bottom, it has so many different types of terrains and landscape, from the lush rainforests in Monteverde to the beautiful long beaches up the Pacific coast, and then down in the Oso Peninsula. It's very raw, very rugged, and completely dense jungle. This tiny country has wetlands, mountains, rivers, arid plains. You can find different types of forests here. As I mentioned, over 500,000 different types of species, animals, and plants. Costa Rica is one of the 5 blue zones on the planet. And for those of you that aren't familiar with blue zones, these are areas in the world where people live exceptionally long lives, which is over 100+ years. These regions are home to some of the oldest and healthiest people in the world. And the other blue zones are in Okinawa, Sardinia, Italy, Loma Linda, California, Icaria, which is one of the Greek islands, and Nicoya, which is where Sandra and I live in the Nosara area. Residents of these places produce a high rate of centenarians, suffer a fraction of the diseases that commonly kill people in other parts of the developed world, and enjoy more years of good health than the rest of the population. Now, if any of you have seen Zac Efron's show Down to Earth, he does a whole episode on Costa Rica, which I highly recommend watching. It's very informative. And then he also does an episode on blue zones, so you could learn a little bit about the vegetation and the biodiversity of Costa Rica, and learn about the blue zones, because it's pretty amazing that people there live such long, healthy lives. Costa Rica is a world leader in renewable energy. For several years now, Costa Rica has run on entirely renewable energy for an average of about 300 days a year. They are eradicating single-use plastic by 2021. The country is very focused on the environment and on keeping the country as sustainable and clean as possible, and aiming to achieve zero emissions by 2050. Interesting fact, Costa Rica abolished the army in 1949, and they took those funds and invested it into education. Costa Rica is also rated as one of the happiest and most sustainable countries in the world. And Costa Rica is ranked as the happiest and most sustainable country on Earth several years in a row by the Happy Planet Index, the HBI. Costa Rica, it's a magical place with so many different parks, wildlife sanctuaries, protected areas, and wetlands. It says here, 12 protected regions protect different natural habitats along the entire country. And I want to share with you a few of the really beautiful locations that I've visited and I've fallen in love with. There's the Arenal volcano. This is actually an active volcano. That's about 90 kilometers from San Jose. And this volcano, Arenal, is considered one of the most beautiful volcanoes in the world. It has a perfect cone shape, and clouds commonly roll in at the volcano's peak. super awesome for photos, also great for hiking. And as a result of the volcano, in the proximity of Arenal, there's a lot of hot springs. This one is from the Tabacon resort for the hot springs. And because of the geothermal activity, the country has a plethora of natural hot springs. The most famous volcano in Costa Rica provides the highest concentration of hot springs in its vast underground network of rivers and streams. Rio Celeste. Now this photo actually isn't photoshopped. The water is actually that color. It's like a blue turquoise. And the reason it looks like that is it's different minerals from the rivers combine at the base. And when they combine, they actually create this beautiful turquoise color that you're seeing here. And the Rio Celeste is close to the Arenal volcano as well. Another area that I really love is called Monteverde. This is called Cloud Forest. This is in the middle of the country and it's way up high, and it can be 30+ degrees down at sea level. But as you start climbing up, it can literally drop to like 8 to 10 degrees. You actually drive through the clouds on the way up. So it's a very special place, definitely worth visiting. And Monteverde actually literally means green mountain. It's one of the country's most popular destinations, even though it's quite remote. It's a 2.5-hour drive from San Jose. Like I mentioned, you can go hiking there, you see lots of birds and monkeys. There's a hummingbird garden there, horseback riding, zip lining, bungee jumping, all kinds of stuff you can do there in Monteverde. And also great for night tours where you see along trails, spiders, snakes, armadillos, ocelots, sloths, and monkeys. One of the things I love most about Costa Rica, if you're into adventure sports, you're into pushing your limits, there's no shortage of stuff to do there. The diving in Costa Rica is world renowned. This photo was taken close to Isla de Coco, Coco Island, which if any of you are Jurassic Park fans, that island is actually what inspired the movie Jurassic Park. Amazing spot to dive. If you're advanced, it's kind of a trip of a lifetime. Whitewater rafting available throughout the country's bunch of amazing rivers that you can experience whitewater rafting in all year round. Mountain biking, something that's gaining a real big popularity there. Lots of single track trails, lots of terrain to roll through the mountains. Yeah, in cities and beaches as well, you can mountain bike. Wildlife. So Costa Rica has an abundance of beautiful wildlife, and here's a super cute photo of a sloth, which seems to be like kind of the unofficial mascot of Costa Rica. You'll see them everywhere. In Costa Rica, yeah, there are insects, bugs, rodents, all over. Really, you're living in the jungle, and it's kind of like the jungle rules and you're just a visitor. So in Costa Rica, you can expect to see snakes, tarantulas, scorpions, sloths, dolphins, turtles, whales, crocodiles, iguanas, howler monkeys, toucans, and like hundreds and hundreds of other type of birds. The wildlife there is absolutely incredible. Like I literally wake up to the sound of monkeys and birds every day, and walking around really feels like you're almost like at a zoo without cages. So that's one of the very special things about Costa Rica that I love. I want to tell you a bit about a few different towns, a few different cities in Costa Rica, just to give you a flavor of what the different places are like, because each town has its own character and its own personality, and different flavors for different people, right? So I thought I'd share a little bit about each one. So Tamarindo is the largest developed beach town in Guanacaste, which is the province where I live in, and has a population of about 6,300 people. Now in Tamarindo, it's got many shops, bars, restaurants. That's where you'll find Starbucks, you'll find Walmart. It's definitely a more commercial type area. I would compare Tamarindo to kind of like what Cancun is to Mexico, Tamarindo is to Costa Rica. It's super touristy, also very convenient if you want shopping, if you want some of the perks or luxury items that you would get in North America, you could find them in Tamarindo. Tamarindo is one of the more expensive destinations in Costa Rica. It's 1 hour away from the main city of Nicoya. And the distance between Tamarindo and Liberia Airport is about 70 kilometers, which can take you about 1 hour and 15 minutes to get there. And another beach town, which is very popular with a lot of resorts, is nearby, about 30 minutes, is called Playa Flamingo. So my town, Nosara, it is a beautiful, dusty little beach town. It is quite small, a population of about 5,800 people. It's about 2.5 hours south of Liberia. And you can get there from local flights from Liberia or San Jose. There's a local airline called Sansa Air, and they fly to a lot of the smaller towns in Costa Rica from both San Jose or Liberia Airport. And I should mention that there are two main international airports, which is Liberia, which is located in the kind of the northwest portion of the country, and then San Jose, which is a little further south and in the middle of the country. To get to San Jose, to get to Nosara by car, it's about 4.5 hours from San Jose. As I mentioned, it is in the blue zone in Nicoya. And Nosara is really best known for surfing, yoga, and wellness retreats. That's really what most people come there for. It's a great place to learn surfing because the waves are kind of a consistent 4 to 5 feet high every day, and pretty consistent all year round. The thing I like about Nosara as well, it's got some cool hotels, some cool restaurants. This is the Gilded Iguana, which is open about 3 years now. Cool, boutique style hotel, great design, and it's literally like, 300 meters from the ocean. One thing I love about Nosara, there's a lot of coaches, healers, facilitators. It has a large conscious community. That's what drew me to move there. I'd been there about 6 or 7 times before I decided to move, and every time I went, it just felt like the right place for me. I remember a friend of mine asked me, why do I keep going back to this little dusty beach town, in the middle of Costa Rica? And my answer was that I'm reminded like this is how we're supposed to be living, watching sunsets every day, running on the beach, just eating fresh fruit and just taking life at a different pace. So Nosara is where I call home now most of the year. This is another, this is one of my favorite restaurants in Nosara. This is La Luna, and it's literally it's the only restaurant on the beach, which is another thing I love about a lot of the beaches in Costa Rica. You don't have restaurants or bars or things like that right on the beach. I mean, some towns like Jaco, Dominical, or Tamarindo you do, but in a lot of the beach towns, the beaches are completely clean and free of any of that, which I personally love. Nosara is extremely family friendly. Like you'll see little kids, families out all the time together. Town pretty much shuts down by 9:30 every night, so it is a quiet place. There's no nightlife or anything like that, but it does have a really cool chill vibe to it. It's about 40 minutes away from Samara, which is the next kind of busy beach town. It's where Sandra used to live, and Samara is a cool town as well. And for those of you that know our friend Chris Hawk is that's where he calls home, and it's about an hour and a half away from main city of Nicoya. So if you do need to go do, pick up something that we don't have in our town, or need to go to the hospital for something a bit more serious, Nicoya would be where you would go. And I know I'm moving kind of quick here, so if any of you have any questions, you could put them on the chat down below, and we'll get to the questions once I'm through the presentation. And if you have to jump off, then you'll get a follow-up email as well after by tomorrow, and then you can email me any questions you have as well. All right, so Santa Teresa, it's located in the area of Malpais. And Santa Teresa, a couple of years ago, New York Times called it the next Tulum. It's definitely got a bit more of a party scene and vibe there. I like it. It's cool. It's very developed. It is also getting very, very busy. Lots of construction happening there. And it is a really cool town. There's a lot of people from Argentina, a lot of Europeans living there, even Brazilians. So it definitely, Israelis, it definitely has more of an international mix than I would say Nosara and Tamarindo are primarily North Americans that are there, whereas Santa Teresa has a big European demographic. Santa Teresa has a big nomadic expat community. It kind of almost has a bit of the vibe of Canggu in Bali, which is another reason why I like it. Also has really great restaurants. As I mentioned, it's quite crowded, lots of new development, and it's 30 minutes away from city center of Cubano. And to get to Santa Teresa, you could either fly from San Jose to Tambor and take a 45-minute drive, or you can drive from San Jose, but then you got to take a ferry, and that whole journey takes about 5 hours, or it's about 3.5 hours from Liberia. So it's not easy to get to, but it is a super cool spot. And Tom Brady and Giselle, they have their home in Costa Rica in Santa Teresa as well. Dominical, okay, so this is located more in the southern part of the country on the Pacific coast. Very lush, very green, and I chose this photo because you can see it goes right from beach right to mountain. So it's got beautiful highways and roads that drive all the way through. So it's a beautiful, very scenic drive to get down to Dominical. It does rain more frequently there, which is why it's so lush and the jungle is so dense. The surfing in Dominical is a little bit more advanced. The waves can get up to be about 10 feet high. So it's definitely not a place for beginners. Lots of land available with ocean views because it's such an elevation all around. You can find lots of land with incredible views that are just like literally 180 degrees of just ocean. The area of Dominical is also known for its many waterfalls because of the dense rain and the elevations. There's like literally, I think 30 or 40 waterfalls all throughout the region there. Let's see, Manuel Antonio Park, which is a big tourist destination as well. It's about 30 kilometers away. Uvita, which is also known as a whale tail. If you've seen any photos of that piece of land off the ocean that looks like a whale tail, that is in Uvita, which is about 15 minutes away. And the nearest city center to Dominical is Capos, which is about 30 minutes away from there. Next town is Puerto Viejo. Now this is a town located on the Caribbean side, and Puerto Viejo is it's got definitely a very different vibe than the rest of Costa Rica. The Caribbean side itself has more of that Caribbean island vibe. And Puerto Viejo actually has a large Jamaican community. So in parts of this region, you'll actually hear people speaking patois, which is pretty cool. And you could hear in the music lots of reggae, lots of even Jamaican colors. So Puerto Viejo is an interesting infusion of the Caribbean and Costa Rican cultures. It's about 4.5 hours from San Jose. It's less developed and more rural. And you'll actually see more bicycles than cars in the town of Puerto Viejo. It's close to Bocas del Toro in Panama. That's about an hour away, I think hour and a half. And then it's a 1-hour drive away from the main city of Limon. And that's it for the breakdown of the different towns that I had. And I want to get into the travel requirements. I just want to check to see if Anne-Marie is joining. So just give me 1 second here, because she was going to be speaking to the travel requirements.
Hey, I'm here.
Oh, you're here. Okay, perfect. Thanks for joining, Anne.
Hey.
How are you?
Good, good. How are you guys?
I'm good.
Hi to everyone.
Okay, great. Thank you. So I had some information about the travel requirements for entering Costa Rica, because right now, obviously for Canadians to come down, there are some stipulations. So I'm just going to open this up here. So if you want to share anything about this here, if you have some information to add to this.
Let's see. Okay, the COVID test is super important for the 72 hours, because at the moment that they arrive, or everyone arrives at the airport, they're gonna have a test. Well, somebody asking them certain questions and requiring for the paperwork as well. Costa Rica right now, we are open for Canada citizens for getting in without no problems. There are only certain cities in the US right now that are accepted by the country. And as well, if within the 70 hours, 72 hours you have experienced symptoms, most likely what it would happen to you is to get in isolation, which will be pretty much losing the timing that you're expecting to be here, whether if you're going to be for a few days or such. If you're staying for more than 1 month, maybe will affect you, but it's a loss of money and time after all of the things that you already have explained to everyone that they could do around. And on the health pass, basically it's for you to get into that website for salud.go.cr, which is a government page. And that's something that you could do while on the plane or while you get out from onboarding.
Yeah, it's a pretty simple process. I was on the website earlier today, and pretty basic information, just got to fill that out. And in regards to testing centers, there are a bunch in Toronto which can turn your test around in 48 hours. And if any of you need that list, just let me know and I can email that, or I'll share it in the blog post with this video when I put it up there on my website. Okay, so in regards to the insurance that is required, because traveling down, what is required now is that your travel insurance covers you during your stay. And what that means is that you have guaranteed coverage of your medical expenses in case you get sick with COVID of at least $50,000. And it also has to cover your hotel, because if you do get sick, then you need to check into a hotel by yourself, and you have to make sure that your insurance covers your stay. So you will need to present that documentation in order to fly, in order to be accepted into the country. Anna, do you have anything to add to that?
Let's take a look in here. Nope, actually it's pretty well explained.
Perfect, okay. And you can purchase your travel insurance through any of the following insurance providers if you don't have one, and that's listed down below, INS Group or Sagicor. And there are a bunch of others that are also approved. I just listed these two there. For whatever reason, your own insurance policy may even cover it. You just have to speak to them to see if they do offer COVID insurance while traveling. So for Canadian travelers, Canadian passport holders can travel to Costa Rica as tourists for up to 90 days, and no visa is required. And all requirements for entry must be met: valid passport, prove economic solvency for at least $100 a month. Now, I've been flying back and forth for years now. I've never had to prove that, so I'm not sure if that's how strict they're enforcing that or not. This is one that's very important. You have to have a return ticket. They actually won't let you even check in or board the plane unless you have a return ticket. So buying a one-way doesn't work. You can buy a round trip and then move your return flight if necessary. But yeah, that is absolutely required for flying down there. And do you have anything to add to that?
Actually, there's just a tip that I would like to offer when it comes to do the ticketing too. Sorry for my dog barking in the back, because that's super normal here. So sorry if you hear her. If you get the trip down here, try to get either separate tickets or get a one-way that will get you to the country, and the other one, try to purchase it within 24 hours that you arrive at customs in here. So technically you will make a purchase within 24 hours and not necessarily buy it, but what customs here needs to see is that you have a way out. That's pretty much it. If you decide that once in here you would like to make a voiding process for the ticket, the airline most likely will allow you to void the ticket and not necessarily hold the money for you or make the purchase effective. That is regularly like a workaround that I advise if you're looking to stay for a longer time in here. Just make the purchase with good advance for the outbound ticket for you to get here. And for the other one, even on the same day that you are purchasing here, you just get to customs and say like, hey, it's just that I make the reservation for the return flight yesterday. I still haven't got the ticket. This is the confirmation from the airline. They validate with them that it's done. And once you're out of the airport, contact the airline and request for void. That's it. And
Great.
you won't have
Thank
any
you.
money pending.
Perfect. Okay, thanks for that tip. Want to share a little bit about cost of living. So the groceries down there, domestic food basket, approximately $100 a month. Mine's usually way over that. Groceries in Nosara are actually quite expensive. You'll find that groceries throughout the country range, like groceries in Dominical, significantly less expensive than Nosara. And also farmers market. You can buy local, you can buy directly from some farms even, and that's usually the cheapest way to go. There's different types of grocery stores, more like kind of the supermarket style, and then there are the smaller corner stores that would have kind of like what we have like Rabba in Toronto. Like it sells groceries, but then sells a bunch of other stuff, and those places typically are more expensive. There are some like larger chains like Walmart's in several chains in the country. There's also membership only wholesale market. And as I mentioned, the farmers market. So it says for purchasing from farm products, government makes farmers markets on weekends from 5 a.m. to 2 p.m., which is less expensive depending on the timing. It can be crowded, but definitely is a very cool, great experience. Yeah, and then you will find a lot of local vendors who grow their food on their own fincas, their farms, and will sell to you directly, which is pretty cool. All purchases have 13% tax on them. 1 Canadian dollar equals 450 colones. Car rentals, if you're going to go down for a month or two at a time, you can negotiate a monthly car rental rate, and it can obviously vary depending on the type of car you are renting. I do recommend setting up a corporate account in advance, and they have budget, they have enterprise, they have Alamo, and same North American agencies they have down there. And if you can set up a corporate account, then it covers your insurance in the rental, and that's really important because sometimes you could see cars for rent for literally $35 a day, but then the insurance might be $55 a day, and they really they'll push you to get full coverage. And yeah, in Costa Rica, the roads are so crazy. You can blow out a tire very easily. I've lost my front plate in a river before. It's very unpredictable, so getting full insurance is highly recommended. Cost of living in regards to rent. So a 1-bedroom apartment is somewhere between $800 to $1,200. Now I've heard of people renting apartments for $500, and in parts of Nosara and some of the higher priced areas, you could also rent a 1-bedroom apartment for $1,500. But I would say $800 to $1,200 is kind of the average. A 2-bedroom house is $1,200 to $1,500. 3-bedroom villa could be up to $5K a month, depending on your budget. There are some really, really beautiful homes that are available for rent. And for any of you that are thinking about renting for this winter and coming down for 3 or 4 months, I would suggest you get on that as soon as possible, because there are many people who are looking to rent down there right now. And most places for the homes, they don't like renting for 2 or 3 months. They like renting for 6 months to a year. However, you might want to get on that sooner rather than later, because depending on what happens with the American borders and how many Americans are going to come down, there just may not be homes to rent there this season. So it's something you want to get on sooner rather than later. And if you need some referrals and suggestions for some homes or agencies that could help you, let me know, and I could provide you some solid people who could help you find a beautiful home for the winter. Hydro can range from $50 to $250, just depending on how much you use their air conditioning. I use mine minimal. I put it on a little bit in the afternoon when it gets really hot, kind of peak temperature, but then at night I'll leave it off, keep a couple windows open, and it's totally fine. Water, yeah, again, depends on usage, but my average bill is usually between $35 to $50. Let's see here. The expat community down there. So Americans, Canadians, Argentinians, Israelis, Colombians, Europeans in Tamarindo and Nosara, Samara, mostly North Americans. In Santa Teresa, a little bit more international. And then throughout the country, it's a bit of a mix, but in some parts, it's a lot of gringos, as they like to call North Americans, but it is a pretty diverse mix. Accepting Tico time. As I said, life moves at a much slower pace, and you just got to kind of go with it. You got to let go of those North American expectations we have of things arriving when they say they're going to. Often you'll hear that a repairman is going to show up at Tuesday at 10 a.m. and he shows up, if he shows up, maybe Wednesday or Thursday. So things are at a slower pace. People are much more relaxed about things, and that's part of the charm of living in a place like Costa Rica. Time feels a lot more abundant because people aren't in such a rush. People take their time. People really enjoy life and savor the moments. And it takes a bit of an adjustment coming from North America to live in that type of culture with that pace, but you get used to it, and then you realize just how beautiful it can be. The jungle rules, really the weather is so extreme. You just got to be willing to surrender and kind of know that you're not in control. It's not like, in North America where, we put in our GPS, it's going to take me 20 minutes to get there. You might start driving in Costa Rica and realize that the bridge has been washed out from a rainstorm or something. So you really got to expect the unpredictable to happen. One of the real beautiful things about Costa Rica that I enjoy is really being a part of a true community. I've never lived in a development where I actually know all my neighbors, where I feel comfortable enough to, go over and ask to borrow something, or they'll check on my dog or water my plants or something like that. It's a really warm, welcoming community, and the Costa Ricans are very friendly and super easygoing. Working remotely, I know many of you have asked, what is the deal with the Wi-Fi and the internet down there? Like many of you, I do all my work through Zoom and through, virtual connections. So it is very important. Fiber optic is available throughout most of the country. A lot of the hotels will have them. The co-working spaces do have high-speed Wi-Fi, and those are becoming more popular. Like if you're familiar with the Selena hostels, Selena hostels is, I think, 5 of them now in Costa Rica, and those are great co-working spaces with great Wi-Fi and a bunch of other amenities. And then you'll also find free Wi-Fi in most restaurants, cafes, and public places. So working remotely, you can also pay to get a satellite connection so that you have more stable Wi-Fi. That's what I did at my house. I pay about $80 a month, and my Wi-Fi is super quick and very, very stable. Property value. This is a beautiful home that my friends Lindsay and Chris live in, and this is actually where my friend Marco stayed, I think earlier this year, or maybe it was last year, but yeah, beautiful home. And this type of architecture is quite common down there. Just very modern, clean, open, sliding glass walls, just to give you that beautiful tropical jungle ocean view. So in Nosara, a half acre to a full acre could cost anywhere from 500 to $1 million. Now that is near the ocean, which means you're going to be about a 200 to 300 meter setback from the actual shoreline, and they do that because it's a turtle sanctuary. So you can't be right on the beachfront, but you can be close by, and it is quite expensive because it's very limited. Now you could be 10, 15 minutes away, up on the mountain with a beautiful ocean view, and those lots are going to cost you more, about between 200 to 250,000. And this rendering right here is actually from a development called Nosara Estates, which is on San Juan Mountain, which has beautiful ocean views. To get an acre of land closer to the beach with ocean view, that's going to cost you significantly more. That's going to be about 750,000. And of course, all these prices are in US dollars. and a half acre to 1 acre in a farm area that's still 10 minutes from the beach, but you're not going to have much of a view. You might have more of a jungle view or just more of a lush kind of landscape view. That's going to be about 75 to 100. And you can find land cheaper. I've seen lots for sale for 40 to 50 grand. And then to build, like for construction, to build something kind of like this is a Nosara Estates development, you're looking at about $120 a square foot to build something like this. Now, high-end luxury design and builds are going to range anywhere from $120 to $150 a square foot. So if you're buying a lot for 200 and then you're building a 2,000 square foot home, you're looking at about 440,000 US dollars, which I think is about 600 Canadian, if I'm not mistaken. That's for a 2,000 bedroom home with ocean views in the jungle, beautiful design. So that gives you an idea as to what you would expect to pay for a modern home in Nosara. Now, Dominical, a little bit better pricing. As I mentioned, it doesn't quite have the lifestyle and the kind of vibe of Nosara, but you will get lots of beautiful lots with big ocean views because it really goes ocean to mountain. So you can get an acre on the mountain with ocean views for about 125 to 250. You could get a half acre right in town, closer to the beach, between 150 to 200. And 1 acre in jungle, and you're not going to get much of a view, but you're going to have more of jungle view. You're going to be in the dense, lush, beautiful trees and all that, and that looking about 50 to 80K. Build out cost, as I mentioned, something a little bit more basic, a basic build out with finishes, about 80 to 110 a square foot. And then something a little bit more high end with finishes are about 120 to 150. And this house here, this is a Benjamin Sachs design, you know, pretty simple build, not super luxury. You know, something like this would fall into sort of more of that basic build out with basic finishes. And it's, again, the real advantage and the beauty of it is having that open air concept where, you know, your living room extends right out to your pool and your landscaping there. Residency. So I'm gonna hand this one over to Joanna because she's been sharing information on residency, and that is what that's what her specialty is. So I'm going to just scroll through some of these slides here and she can explain a bit of that.
Hi everyone, good afternoon.
Thank you.
The investment, if anybody would like to apply as an investor category, one of the requirements for Costa Rica immigration is to invest in a property for 200,000, but let's say you find that a great opportunity for less than 200,000. You can also purchase a vehicle and be covered with the 200,000. Have to be the value of the property, not the construction, because get a little bit confusing in that part. Some people say, oh yes, I buy a lot for 80,000, and now I'm building the house, and the house is probably worth it now. They finished the build 200, 250. No, it's the value of the land. In the temporary residency, it starts from the moment that you start to be investor. It's going to be covered for the first 2 years as a temporal. It's assumed we are heading close to 3 years, we can request a permanent residency, which you will renew every 5 years. And the good thing with this category and any other category, the only time that you need to be in Costa Rica is 1 day per year. If you have childs under 18, they can be under the same category. If your children are adults and they are over 25, they have another options, which be Rentista category. In the Rentista category, allow you to stay in the country also and have to be permanent for the first 2 years temporal. And you can do this as income for 60K to the bank, and they will provide you 2,500 every month. It's your choice to use this money or to keep it in the bank, because the next 2 years you need to prove that you still have this income at the 60K. After that, we have the third year, when we're going to be permanent resident, you no longer need to approve to immigration that you still have the 60,000. And also you can request the permanent residency and will be renewed every 5 years as well. I don't think so, right?
No, I think you want to continue with that. Also, you need to mention out.
Retire is the people that have income, vitality income. The income the immigration request to be a pensionado category is $1,000. This can be directly from a pension from the government, but as well, if you have any income from the company that will provide you $1,000 for life, you can apply under pensionado for you and your wife. And also the first 2 years you will be temporary, and after you hit the third year, you will request the permanent residency, and you only, if you like, only be 1 day at the year to maintain your residency. And as soon as you open your file, you can no longer need to get out of Costa Rica every 3 months. That will allow you to stay in the country till the process get done. One of the important requirements to open any category, any files in Costa Rica is to have your visa stamp. That's extremely important. Yes, you need to be in the country to proceed with that. And you can claim your child if he is under 25. Also can own a company, can receive dividends, can have employees. Yeah.
Yeah, he's controlling the.
Okay, great.
This info in writing? Yes.
Yeah, and if any of you have any questions about that, again, put them in the chat box below. And once I end the screen share, then we'll start answering some of the questions about that. Thank you for sharing that information, Joanna. Appreciate that. So just want to share a little bit about education for those of you with kids who are wondering, you know, what the school system's like down there. So Costa Rica has one of the best school systems in Central and South America. Literacy rate is 95% for everyone over the age of 15. And there are more than 60 universities in Costa Rica to choose from. And there are many private schools for children of expats. And here's some pricing that will show you kind of what to expect. With the grade 1 to 12, there is quite a broad range there because there are some schools, like in Nosara, there is the Del Mar Academy and also the Waldorf, which are quite expensive, but they are very special, a very special, I guess, type of school. It's very interactive. It's very unique in their programming, and they're on the higher end, but usually for most parts of the country, grade 1 to 12 could cost anywhere from $3,500 to $6,000. I would say Nosara and the schools that they have are a bit of an exception to the norm there. In regards to medical care, so most small towns do not have a hospital, but do have a private clinic. Like in Nosara or Samara, there is no hospital. The nearest hospital is about an hour and a half away. So there are private clinics. There are doctors that, you know, if you have a small accident, you're not feeling well, something kind of, I'd say, not so serious, it can be dealt with in town. However, if you did have something major happen, like a car quad accident, surfing accident, something happened where you needed more, I guess, critical care, then you would either have to get airlifted to San Jose, or depending on how much time you have, they would you would get to Nicoya in an ambulance. So, and with your healthcare, you should look into possibly adding a helicopter service to it, because God forbid something very serious happened and you need to get choppered from a small town to San Jose. You definitely want to make sure insurance is covering that for you. So no restrictions on how you like to pay for cash, credit card without insurance. Private consultations, $122 without medication. And on call, $177, depending on where they got to travel to. A lot of pharmacies have an on-site doctor that can also recommend medications. And in regards to health plans, Costa Rica has private prepaid medical affiliation programs. And again, most of you, if you do have your own health plan or considering it with the COVID, you can then look into what else they can offer that would cover or how much your health plan would cover while you are actually in Costa Rica for the time, because the regular travel insurance, I don't believe will be sufficient, especially with the COVID conditions as well. As regards to safety, so Costa Rica is considered to be the safest country in all of South America and has the lowest poverty rate. Violent crimes like rape and hate crimes or armed robberies are pretty much unheard of. It's often referred to as Switzerland of the Americas, and break-ins do happen, although those tend to be more in the, a lot of rental properties is where it tends to happen more. So some of during the holiday season, there'll be people who from the cities will drive in and break into the villas and the properties that are used seasonally because they know that no one's home and they could probably break in and get away quite easily. Vehicle theft and break-ins, unfortunately it happens. I got my quad stolen back in March. It literally got stolen right out of my driveway. They put it in neutral, wheeled it right out and never to be seen of again. Hopefully it'll come back to me, but yeah, got my quad stolen, motorbikes get stolen. Trucks will also go missing. And again, it's not as bad as in a big city, but it does happen. And then cars get broken into often. You know, you leave your stuff in the car, you go to the beach, and you might come back and find your window broken. And you know, obviously it's advised not to leave any of your valuables in there. That is kind of concludes the presentation. I want to open up to some questions now. I want to end it off with this photo of my dog and I, because I think it really epitomizes, you know, the Costa Rican lifestyle. You know, it's a very dog-friendly place. You know, you're in the jungle, you're living a life totally free and unconstrained, and it really is a beautiful, special place. For any of you that are considering it, you know, I can't say enough good things about it. I'm an avid traveler. I've been to over 50 countries around the world, and you know, I just knew that Costa Rica could be home for me. It's where I felt really comfortable. I met a really great community of people there, and the move and the transition has been super smooth. You know, it's a big difference than living in North America. However, it's just about letting go of all that stuff that you just don't need to deal with anymore, you know, stuff that's just holding you back, and just be able to go and just be free and live an abundant life there in absolute nature, you know. So I am going to stop sharing now. I'm going to open this up to some questions here. Okay. Let's see. Okay, so thanks everybody for the patience and the whole internet issue there. I apologize for that. And going to scroll up to, okay, so Linda Medeiros, cost of groceries. I think we addressed that one. Okay, thanks, Brooke. Talk about whether or not there are options to get fast Wi-Fi. Yeah, there are fast Wi-Fi options. I did mention that you can upgrade your Wi-Fi at home. I also use the Rogers Roam Like Home. It's $12 a day. They can only charge you for $15 tops. So it's a bit of an expense, but my Wi-Fi off my phone is super solid at all times. And then you could also tether off of your phone to your laptop if you need. And you can upgrade your Wi-Fi at home. I did it and I don't have problems with it. In regards to car dealerships in Nosara, you don't want to buy a car in Nosara. You want to get it more so from San Jose. You want to find a used dealer, hopefully find someone who's local. If you have someone who is Costa Rican, a friend of yours, or somebody who you know who can help you purchase a used car, that would be a great way to go. And if you want to lease, you could also you know, go through that route. Not sure how the financing would work for a foreigner, but I'm sure it could be done, especially if you open a business down there and put some money in the bank account. Yeah, Sandra answered that. What ways can you make money if you're a non-resident and not working remotely? Lindsay, that's a great question. there's many different types of businesses that could be started down there. Actually, Anne Marie sent me a list of them earlier on, and I'll share that, Lindsay. I can email you those directly if you'd like. There's a lot of opportunity down there, especially in the travel sector, wellness space as well. You know, Costa Rica is really a hot spot for private for wellness and for travel, especially with retreats and whatnot. So there's a lot of opportunity because the country is gaining momentum, and there's many things that we still don't have there. Yeah, okay. Let's see. And Joanna also mentioned that she can answer questions regarding how you can make money. Yeah, it is relatively expensive for South America or Central America. How's the inflation, Nosara? Nosara is expensive. It is definitely more expensive than other parts of Costa Rica. It comes at a premium, and I would say that it's definitely a bit more that sort of luxury lifestyle there. It's yeah, you're paying for a premium, but you also are with a different community. There's a certain standard, I would say, there, just with the quality of what you'll get there. Like the restaurants are great, the properties are all amazing. So it is a bit more expensive, and you kind of you're getting what you pay for. Let's see. So in regards to bringing my dog with me, Costa Rica is extremely dog friendly, and bringing your dog down is a process for sure. It's not that complicated though. Essentially, you have to have paperwork signed by your vet that your dog has been up to date with all of the shots and all the required medication that your dog will need to enter the country. There's the CFIA. It's a Canadian organization, and if you go to their website, you can see importation of animal or exportation of animal to Costa Rica, and it'll give you all the requirements. And there's like an 11x17 sheet that you'll print out, and you'll have to take that to your vet, and it'll show what documents or sort of what information needs to be listed there, what needs to be approved by your vet. And then when you land, you literally just show them the paperwork, they stamp it, and you're good. So Costa Rica is really dog friendly. There's no quarantine for the dogs like some other countries have. Does property value go up compared to saving? Yeah, property value in Costa Rica is going up quickly. It is, as I mentioned, just a real hotspot right now. People are coming in from all over to buy land, buy homes. So I would say it's probably gone up about 15 to 20% just in the last year, and that's going to go up exponentially once. You know, I'm a big believer that there's many people who want to make the move to Costa Rica, and you know, this webinar is proof of that. Like there were over 130 people that registered for this webinar, so I get the feeling that many people are looking to get out to the jungle and you know, possibly relocate there either for the season or permanently. So with that being said, that's going to drive up property value prices as well, because there's only a limited amount of inventory and builders can only build so quickly. So if you are thinking about buying, yeah, I would give that some serious consideration before it goes up even more. Let's see. Okay, in regards to the internet, so I'm actually on an island right now in north of just off of Kingston, Ontario. So I'm actually in Canada, and the reason I actually think my Wi-Fi dropped because my dog sat on the modem downstairs. So yeah, even in Canada, you can have shaky Wi-Fi when your dog sits on the modem. Let's see. Nosara states from the beach, I would say it's probably about a 10 to 12 minute drive from the highest peak of the property down to Guiones Beach. That's of course driving straight without any stops or anything. So it's actually not that far. And it's a beautiful drive up, like it's a winding road up the side of a mountain. It's really beautiful and lush. And then you get up to the top and it's just like $1 million view from up there. So yeah, it's not that far. Do I use a Costa Rican phone? So I did last year, but I found that just using my, I found the data wasn't great down there for my Costa Rican phone, and maybe I need to upgrade my package. But I did use my Canadian phone plan, Rogers Roam Like Home, for the past 8 months that I was down there. My phone bills were about $350 a month. But that's really my only business expense with my phone. So I just sucked it up and used that. You can get a Costa Rican phone plan. I'm sure they have ones that have high speed, and I'm going to do that this winter as well. I have a new phone, so I'm going to switch over. Can import his car duty free and once every 2 years. I'm not sure about that, Timothy. Maybe Joanna could reply to that. A pensionado can import his car duty free and once every 2 years. Yeah, that's something maybe she can answer. If buying a rental property, is it doable to be cash flow positive? Absolutely, for sure. Yeah. Mind you, you are looking at about probably a 6, maybe 7 month window to rent out your property. However, it is possible. I know people who rent down there and they're renting out their property at least 8 months of the year. Okay, let's see. What the current COVID restrictions are. The beach is still closed. Okay, good question. So in regards to the COVID restrictions, they're really switching. They're changing up. When COVID first hit back in March and they shut down the borders, they closed down the beaches for about 5 weeks because people from San Jose were leaving the town, the city, to come to Nosara and Samara and the other beach towns because they were off work and their kids were out of school. So that was a precautionary measure that they shut down the beaches. Now, as COVID has kind of fluctuated up and down, they are opening and closing the beaches. You know, at one point it was, you could be on the beach from 5:30 to 8:30 in the morning for the surfers, and then it was open till 2:30, and then it closed again. And you know, Sandra would probably be able to comment better on that than I, but the beaches have been going through different openings and closures, and now they're enforcing driving restrictions, different curfews on what day you can drive with your plate, because they don't want COVID to spread through the country, because the cases were quite low till about June, and then the cases jumped up significantly, like almost like 5 times. Yeah, went up 500% in a matter of 2 months, and apparently that was because there were people coming from Nicaragua and bringing the virus into the country. That's at least what I heard when I was there last. And as far as lockdown, you know, you could still go out, you could still enjoy, and you could still be outside in nature. Some restaurants and hotels had closed because of lack of tourism. However, there were still quite a few places opened. Are there any calmer beaches with bluer waters closer to Nosara or Tamarindo? Samara, their water is definitely bluer because their sand is a lighter color. So you'll see bluer water around there. Along the coast, you will find some places that have quite blue water. You won't get that turquoise like you do in the Caribbean, but there is Papagayo, which is further north of Tamarindo, and Papagayo has really beautiful crystal blue water. So does the home come furnished? Not necessarily, depends who you're buying from. In regards to containers with furniture, I know Sandra did some research on that. And the thing with bringing furniture in from Canada is the importation tax. You'd be better off possibly having all of your furniture custom built in Costa Rica. And they have some amazing furniture stores in San Jose. You just have to look into the importation taxes around that. And I don't know if Joanna may have any information on that about importing furniture and home items. I know importing cars is quite expensive. Depending on how old the car is, they could tax you anywhere from, I think it's like 55 to almost 90% to bring your car into the country. Okay, a pensioner can import.
As far as it goes for bringing in furniture, it's the same thing as cars. You're better off buying those kinds of things in Costa Rica. It's a lot less headaches, and they have lots to offer. So you won't have a problem finding the car of your choice. When it comes to cars, you might want to pick a popular one that's sold in Costa Rica. And the same with furniture. If you're going to bring your furniture down from Canada, I would only pick the important things that you have to bring down. Same thing. You're better off buying your furniture in Costa Rica.
Yeah, one thing mentioned about furniture as well from Canada to Costa Rica. Costa Rica is so humid and it's so moist, and because the temperatures fluctuate so much, your furniture may expand. The wood may inflate and then dry up and crack. So buying furniture that's been made in Costa Rica with the wood that is already climatized is a better option, because you don't want to bring down a beautiful wood table and then see it completely get ruined, you know, as the temperatures and the weather fluctuates. And as I mentioned, amazing furniture stores and local trades there. So I'd be happy to connect you with some of the people that did the renovation at my house. Do people bring cats? I mean, I'm sure you could. If people can bring dogs, I'm sure you can bring a cat for sure. There is a vet in Nosara. There's actually, I want to say there's 2 or 3 vets for sure. There's 2 that I go to. One this around the corner. Yeah, multiple vets in Nosara, so that's not a problem. What area would you say has the best Airbnb potential for investment and part-time living purposes? I mean, I would say definitely Dominical, Nosara, Santa Teresa. I would say those are probably the busiest. Yeah, probably Santa Teresa and Nosara for sure. Tamarindo also, although there are a lot of hotels in Tamarindo, a lot of options for tourists to stay. And then part-time living purposes as well. I don't know if you'd want to live in Tamarindo, whereas Santa Teresa or Nosara probably be a place where you'd want to live and also have your Airbnb rental there for revenue. Is it possible to do a seasonal move if you're on a budget? It is possible. You can rent a place down there for $700 or $800 a month, and then your groceries could be $200 or $300 a month. You don't necessarily need a car or quad. You could buy a bike. It could actually be quite cheap to live down there. You can get by living down there, probably under 1,000 American a month if you were really on a budget. So it really depends on how many months you plan on going for and what your budget is. But there are people who come down there. There are people who come on vacation and just don't leave, and they just figure out how to work or how to make money and get by. So it's definitely doable for sure. Let's see. Okay, so this is a great question. Brooke asked, if you're buying an existing home versus property, does the price of the home count towards the $200K needed for residency? I believe it does. I think Joanna would be better to comment on that to confirm if that's true. Oh, she said yes, it does. Okay, great. Thank you for that. Okay, so Brooke asked, why am I personally going with Nosara Estates? So for me, I don't necessarily want to be right near the beach, because being near the beach in Nosara doesn't mean you necessarily have a beach view, and you're also dealing with more traffic. You're dealing with more motorbikes. It's a little bit louder. So I don't mind driving my quad 10 minutes to the beach rather than walking 5 or 10 minutes to the beach, because up in the mountain, it's super quiet. The lot I'm looking at is just over an acre. So I have a lot of privacy. It's lush jungle, and all day I could be working from my living room table and looking at the ocean. And for me, that's really important. Like, I want to be able to see the blue sky and the ocean and the lush jungle all day and be surrounded by the beautiful natural environment, as opposed to being closer to the beach and then having to deal with the noise, also having to deal with the construction. You know, it's just personally, I like my privacy, and I just want to be up the mountain a little bit. So that's why I like Nosara Estates as well. I really love their architect, Benjamin Sachs from Studio Sachs. He's the guy who did Gilded Iguana. I'm a big fan of their architecture. I know the developer, you know, I'm familiar with their previous work, so I feel comfortable working with them. And from an investment standpoint as well, from what I've looked at, I would say it's one of the better investment opportunities for the pricing, the size of the lots, and they're also saying that they can build within 10 months, which is pretty impressive, because the way Benjamin Sachs builds his homes, a lot of the house is prefabricated construction in San Jose that's shipped on site and then assembled and finished. So I like that as well. That's not going to take two years to build my house. Yeah, and then I also like that Nosara Estates has a home rental program. So if I am in Canada for 4 or 5 months, they can rent out my house for me, and then they do a revenue share with me while I'm renting my house, and they'll also manage it for me while I'm gone. So yeah, that's why I like Nosara Estates, and why I'm most likely going to be buying there within the year. Yeah. I saw Marco said, how does mortgage buying property and home there? So actually, this is great for Joanna and her associates to speak on this, because their company Gap Investments actually provides mortgages. So Joanna, if you and your associates want to share a little bit on that.
Okay, so there's 2 ways to get a mortgage. One is you really have to get your residency if you need to go through the banks. The other form is a private equity loan, which is pretty much what we do. So basically, we have 750 private investors right now with money available for mortgages. That's pretty much what we do.
And what would be the process for them to, what are the steps that are necessary for a foreigner to apply for a mortgage once they've got the residency process started?
That's the same as like any place else. You have to submit an application, and they'll take a look at your income and everything else. So it's just the same. It takes a little bit longer. It's not instantaneous at the banks here. They will take 2 to 3 months, perhaps longer, to process the application. That's the advantage with us. Usually within 5 days, we go up, we inspect the house, or we inspect the lot, we see what's going to happen. Then we present that to one of our 750 lenders. Usually generally in 5 days, we can do a construction loan as well. That's something. We also do renovation loans. So if you bought a house and you'd like to have money to put a pool in or something like that, we also facilitate things of that nature as well.
Okay, great. So
once you get the site visit, it's again just very simple. We package it, we present it to one of our 5 of our 700 lenders, because we know their profile. Some like the different beaches, some like Nosara, some like Santa Teresa. We pretty much can do a loan anywhere in Costa Rica. We've done hundreds and hundreds of them.
Okay, great. Thank you.
And also, this is well for Airbnbs and things like that. We do an awful lot of loans for Airbnbs, a lot of expansion in the last 12 months. People are expanding, putting more rooms in and more rooms and second floors and all kinds of things.
Okay, great. And then Brooke, you had a question about process for buying land and building versus buying completed homes. So I am considering hosting a second webinar, which would be strictly on real estate. What I will be doing is inviting a few developers, including Ron from Nosara Estates, as well as a landowner developer friend of mine in Dominical, and I'll probably get someone from the Caribbean side as well to jump on a call, another webinar, so that any real estate questions that you specifically have, they'll be able to really give you the specific details and the information, because I'm not that fluent on it all. So I will definitely set up a second one for those who are serious about buying land and building or buying a home down there. Then I'll do a webinar strictly on Costa Rica real estate. So you can stay posted on that, and I'll let you know. Do you need a motorcycle license to drive a two-wheeler or quad? Are helmets required? Yes. So no, just a driver's license to have a quad, to drive a quad, especially if it's Canadian license. I mean, you can use that for the 90 days, but when you do get your residency, I'm going to assume that you do have to then get a Costa Rica license. And I don't know if there is a difference between driver's license and motorcycle license in Costa Rica. Maybe either Joanna or Anne-Marie could answer that. I've just been driving with my Ontario license, and helmets are mandatory. You will get ticketed if you are riding around without a helmet. I mean, a lot of people don't, and I think it is something like a $140 fine if you get caught without a helmet.
Driver license, reference a driver license is being a new regulation for Costa Rica. Have to be after the you being approval for your residency. You also have to show to the government after the you being approved, you stay in the country for 90 days. And this is when you claim your driver license for Costa Rica, and you can change your Canadian to Costa Rica valid your driver license. This is a new regulation for Costa Rica by hands with immigration matters. You can no longer arrive in Costa Rica and head to the COSEBI, to the government, and proceed to renew your license. You have to be in the system and also stay in the country 90 days after you being approved as a residency.
Okay. Okay, great, thank you. And Rafina, you had a question. Yes, we're buying a building that could be used for retreats, extra rooms, etc. Yeah, that's totally doable. Actually, where I host my retreats in Costa Rica, I rent a villa. It's a 6-bedroom villa, and I use it to host my retreats there. And I do know that the owner of the villa is actually looking to sell it. So if you were to buy it, you would get your residency because it is over $200,000, and then you would register your company there, register your company, and you could put the villa under your corporation, and that would definitely give you enough credibility requirements to get your residency. In regards to 6 months back and forth, from my understanding, you have to spend more than 6 months a year in Canada. It is, yeah, if you're away too long, for too many years consecutively, you could possibly risk losing your Canadian citizenship, or your residency, sorry. Yes, and Veronica mentioned, so in regards to renting quads without a driver's license, that's totally true. Some places are super easygoing. You know, when I rent quads for my retreats, they do not ask for everybody's driver's license. I kind of rent them on behalf of everybody. So some places in Costa Rica are pretty relaxed and easygoing, and then others will be a little bit more by the book. But for the most part, you can kind of get away with it. So you don't have to be a resident to purchase a home. I bought my home in Costa Rica, and now I'll be applying for my residency. Joanna's going to help me work that out. So I'm not a resident of Costa Rica yet, and I will be working on that this season. In regards to marijuana being legal, I don't know. I think mushrooms and psilocybin are legal in Costa Rica. I think ayahuasca is even legal in Costa Rica. However, I'm not familiar about marijuana. To be honest, I don't really smoke weed, so I'm not sure. Yeah, and Brooke, in regards to the retreat center that I use, yeah, happy to send you the link to the website. It's a beautiful villa that is like a 3-minute walk from the ocean. It's right near La Luna restaurant as well. Yeah, it's a villa that was designed to host retreats specifically, so it's really well laid out. And yeah, happy to share that information as well. Oh, my camera is super grainy here. No lights on. Is Blazo still building its community? I believe it is. Yeah, I believe they've sold a ton of homes and they are still building. From what I have heard, though, they are behind schedule. I think they sold a lot and now they're trying to keep up with the demand. So, you know, that's one of the other challenges, right? There's only so many trades and so many workers that can build homes there. But yeah, Blazo and that whole development is still moving forward from what I know. All right, anybody have any other questions? Yeah, thanks Marcos for joining, and hopefully we'll see you in Costa Rica pretty soon. So income taxes, Timothy, what would you like to know about income taxes? And Nagar, in regards to investing in the wellness center where I run my retreats. So Chris, thanks for joining. Appreciate it. Good seeing you. Good having you on. So the retreat center, it's a villa that I rent to host my retreats, and I know they are considering selling the villa. So if you are interested, I can connect you with the owner, and you can speak to him directly if you are serious about possibly investing or purchasing a retreat center or the villa to use as a retreat center. I'll send you I'll just put the name in down here below so you can take a look at it. It's called Casa dos Mares, and it's in Playa Pilata. Okay, and Timothy, worldwide income or country income? Okay, again, I'm not sure what your question is. What about bring goods or materials in to sell? Yeah, you'd probably have to pay importation tax on it, and based on whether your company is registered there or not, you'd have to probably go through that whole process. Okay, so what is the tax rate for earnings in country over 100K? And what if worldwide? So I'm not sure if Joanna or one of her colleagues can speak to that. I'm not sure about the tax rate.
Hey, Zark, there's no answer for us right now. We'll get back to you on that, and you can send it to your list, okay?
Okay, great. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Okay. Yeah, and I saw that a few of you put some questions in the Q&A chat box here. So some of you have asked for business ideas. So I'll be sending out a follow-up email, and in that follow-up email, I'll have a link to the blog post where I'm gonna have these the recordings, and in there, I will include the list that I was sent as far as what potential job opportunities or careers are there. And so Tim is also asking, can I bring gold into the country? And again, I think Joanna and her associates would be best to answer those questions, and then I can post that later or contact you directly, Timothy. I'm pretty sure I'll have your email as you registered for the webinar. Some of the other questions.
The countries are. You can. Did you hear me? I said yes. You can bring gold into the country.
You can. Okay.
That's not a problem.
Okay. And
A link with all the details about taxes, regulations, in a couple more questions, a little more deep, get into the answers. So we'll forward an email with all the details and also a video that you guys can get more information about everything.
Okay, great, thank you. And Chris, to answer your question, healers or work in the wellness industry in Nosara, you know, the thing is I see the population in Nosara just increasing exponentially, and people who are coming to Nosara are coming for wellness, they're coming for healing, they're coming because they want to work with these type of modalities and facilitators. And I would not say it's saturated. I would say that as the population increases, the demand will increase. So I think that for what you provide, there's definitely a big market down there, especially for the retreats. Like a lot of retreats like my own, I'll hire out facilitators to come and provide services for my clients. And I would also say that, you know, once you are settled in Costa Rica, you may even find that you'll work in different parts. Like, you know, it's a pretty tight-knit community in the wellness industry. So you may go and work down in Dominical for a week, or over in Santa Teresa, or, you know, like people that are in the wellness space providing services, they do move around the country because there's work and there's a demand for their services throughout. So I would say that, you know, being there, you wouldn't just be working in Nosara unless that's, of course, what you chose to. Yeah. That's great. I appreciate that, Chris. Well, hopefully I'll be hosting retreats again sometime in the near future, and we can talk about collaborating together then. Yeah. Okay. And some person said, I couldn't hear Joanna clearly when she was speaking about residency in Costa Rica. Can you clarify how the US 200K minimum investment works? This amount is only the minimum for the land, including the build out costs.
Ask about the investor category.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay, so you need to, you qualify with $200,000. The simplest, if you buy a house for $200,000, you qualify for the investor category. Anything that's in the registro, if you buy a plane, a car, a boat, and a house, and it all adds up to $200,000, you qualify for the investor category.
Got it.
If you don't want to qualify for the investor category, you can go to the Rentista category, and it costs a lot less. But it's your money. You have to put down $60,000. It's your money. It's always your money, and you get it back in the end. They just want to know that you have money in Costa Rica. So out of the $60,000, you can take $2,500 a month to yourself, and at the end of that's your pay, basically.
Oh, that's great.
And at the end of the term, you redo that.
That makes it pretty easy. So if as a Canadian, you've got 100K Canadian, you could put it in the bank account down there. You could draw on that money every month to live, and you get your residency as a result of it.
Yes. And I just want to mention something. We're always talking, when we're in Costa Rica, I know you guys are all Canadians, but we're always talking American dollars, okay, when you're in Costa Rica. Something to note.
Yeah.
Okay.
And that American dollar is not in our favor right now.
No, not right now, no.
No.
But one of the good things is a lot of people in Canada, when you sell your house, you're going to sell a house for, you know, a good amount of money, and you'll be able to use that for your investment here. Things are cheaper for the most part. Yeah,
that's right.
There was a question about if somebody wanted to get a mortgage of 60%, 100,000. The best way to do that, if you don't have your residency, is you would come to us for a 3-year term while you're getting your residency, and then you would go to the bank. That's
okay.
That's the gap. The job is to fill in the gap where you want it. So that is the quickest way to do it. As far as the interest rates are concerned, the banks, you know, they could be anywhere from 7 to 9%. It depends on, it's a case-by-case scenario, and we are the same. Depends on the type of house, what percentage loan to value you're asking for. We do everything on a case-by-case situation as well. Again, those numbers will fluctuate. It's a little higher. Private equity money is higher than the banks, but it is interest only. So your payments are a lot less for the 3 years. And then the second year, once you get your residency, you go to the bank, start your application, and then everything gets paid off fairly quickly.
You got it. All right, so we got about 10 minutes left here. I'm not sure if any of you have any more questions. Is there anything else that we could provide you with? Yeah, I wish I had done this as a group meeting instead of a webinar, because there's all of you out there, but all I see is my screen looking back at me as opposed to a bunch of squares, which would have been nicer. We'll do that next time. Make it a Zoom meeting instead of not looking at a bunch of black squares. Can a Canadian lawyer practice there? It's possible to work remotely for hearing against the quality.
You have to be licensed in Costa Rica to be a lawyer.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You have to take the exam here.
Mm-hmm. Is it possible to work remotely for a Canadian company and still qualify as an investor for residency? I would think that's possible.
Depends on where you're investing your money.
Mm-hmm.
If you have to bring your money down to Costa Rica to invest it.
Yeah.
You just answered that.
And Chris is asking the regulations on purchasing, owning rifles, hunting, shotguns. I think he's getting apocalyptic ready.
You can't get a license in Costa Rica. You have to be a resident, a permanent resident. So you're looking at 4 years before you can do that.
Okay.
And it's a concealed carry.
Got it. Can a Canadian teacher work there? Do we need certification from there?
Well, you can get a private company that may hire you as a teacher. But you work for, you have to be private.
Right.
Okay. All right, everybody. Well, if there are no more questions, then I'm going to bring this webinar here to a close. And if you do have any more questions, you could send me an email, and I will do my best to provide you with the info that you need. I'd like to say thank you to Joanna and your associates for joining me for the call, and Sandra and Anna Marie, thank you. I know it's Sunday over there, and it's usually a day of relaxing. So thanks for taking the time to be a part of the webinar, and thanks to everybody for joining. Hope this was helpful and informative for you. And you'll get a follow-up email, and in that follow-up email, I have a small request that if any of you found this webinar valuable and beneficial in some way, then I've added a link for people to make a donation to a charity, well, an organization I work with called Free Them. And Free Them is an organization that's helped putting an end to human trafficking and raising awareness about these crimes. So if any of you feel called to and you got some value from this, please feel free to make a donation towards that charity. And this webinar was free. I did this so I can, share some information with all of you. And I hope you found it valuable. And I look forward to the next one where we'll be talking about real estate and buying homes in Costa Rica. So thank you again, everybody, for joining. Pleasure to connect with all of you, and hope you enjoy the rest of your Sunday. Okay. That's it. Thank you.